You guys hear me? Okay, then we'll just have Alex stop talking, and then hopefully you guys hear that loud shrieking that keeps happening when he talks. Okay, all right, let's go.
We'll start with James Ham.
James Ham, let's start with you.
Yo, what's up, Luke? How are you?
Good, James. You?
Good. Hey, for starters, where are we at with Tyrese? Is there a shot that he'll play in these next 2 games, or is he
There's
done?
not. There's not a shot. We're going to play it safe with him. We got a lot of basketball left, and he is getting much better. But with a back-to-back coming up right before All-Star, just feels like the right move is to make sure that we have him healthy for the second half of this season. So he won't play in either one of these games.
And just what is this 2 days? I mean, you guys really seem to need this little bit of a break to catch your breath.
Yeah, I thought the guys did they did a really nice job of playing in that last game, obviously till the final minute, and that was painful. That hurt. So sometimes it's better to get right back out there and play again after a loss like that. But you're right, between health and just that road trip, it was nice to be able to have a couple days. But we're still pretty banged up. I mean, even today we held Buddy out of practice with the ankle. We're hoping that he'll be ready to go tomorrow, but we'll see how he feels. So even in today's practice, we had 8 bodies out there to get some reps at what we need to get reps at and keep working on. Biggest messaging being from last game was what do we need? What could we have done better in that last minute as far as teaching and going through stuff? And then defense. Our individual defense was really bad. Third one being very positive as far as offensively, what we did: 32 assists, 10 turnovers. Playing how we want to play, getting the shots we want to get. So those are kind of the 3 things we've been hitting on these last 2 days.
Casey Jones.
Hey, Luke.
Jason Jones.
Hey, what's going on?
Good.
Hey,
how are you?
I'm doing all right. You touched on the individual defense, and that's kind of been a thing we've talked about all year, just ways to fix that. And how do you continue to work on that with limited bodies? And it's not like you can go out and just go get a bunch of Paul Georges to put out there. So what do you do in the scope of what you have to continue to work on that and build the guys up in that area?
Yeah, I mean, we don't try to hide it. Our film session, I had about 15 to 20 clips of us. Like, we have to be able to contain the ball for at least 2 dribbles. We can get help after 2-3 dribbles, but right now we're just we're bleeding a lot of points by letting people drive us to the front of the rim, and there's not a lot of scheming to stop that. So. We talk about it. We show clips of it. When we do get practice days like today, we go one-on-one in front of the whole team. Let people call each other out. Who wants to score on who? Really, that's what we can do. Now, obviously, we can get better at our help side defense and making those next moves out of the defensive rotations, but only if we can contain our guy for a couple dribbles. And we did a very poor job of that again in the Charlotte game. So we'll keep working on it. We'll keep showing it. But it's something we have to get much better at.
If I can follow up on that real quick, that last play in the Charlotte game with Corey, it seems like he did that where he forced Malik to take a few dribbles.
Yeah.
He did. How tough is that for a guy like that to be? He's out there on an island. It seems like like you said, he forces him out. The rules don't let you hand check. So just how tough is that a position that for Corey to be in that situation?
Yeah, that one was a little different because it was end the game up 2, right? So really, what you don't want to give up a layup, but what you're really willing to not live with is the foul or a 3-point shot. So Rashawn has made huge plays for us down the stretch. I get what he was doing. He saw Corey was beat. But they have with where the rules are in the NBA now, it's become a lot more difficult to become a defender. but the rules are what they are. So, you know, we have to be able to accept that and play defense. So that last one was a tough one. Monk made a nice move on Corey. But the learning point from that is, like, worst case, we go to overtime. We don't foul and we don't overhelp off a 3-point shooter to give an open three on that. So, you know, but like I said, like Rashawn's made blocks like that for the last year and a half for us. So he's got a little more freedom on that end than some others.
Marshall Harris.
Hey, Luke. How you doing?
Good, Marshall.
Just in the midst of what you guys are in, you had the one win on the road trip, but it's been pretty dreary, and fans were so hopeful after the winning 7 of 8. What would you tell fans in terms of where this team is? Because some people are wondering, are they closer to the 7 out of 8? Are they closer to the 9 out of 11 losses before, and now the 10 out of 11 losses since? What would you tell them as you head towards the end of this first half, and like where the team is compared to maybe where you expected to be at this point?
Yeah, I'd say you gotta stay patient. You know, we play and rely on a lot of young players. Like a lot of the guys we count on and play big time minutes are, you know, it's still pretty early in their careers. So I wouldn't say we're, you know, when we're fully healthy, we're clearly a better team than we are when we're trying to navigate through even 1 to 2 injuries because of the rotation we've been playing. But I'd say we're not 7 out of 8 good, but we're definitely not however many out of whatever bad either. We're somewhere, you know, when we have our normal rotation going and we have those guys out there, then we're somewhere in the middle of that. But you know, we got to remain patient and understand that these guys are getting a lot better, and some of these young pieces we have are really showing what they can become and what I think they will become down the road.
Should expectations be adjusted? Maybe not lowered. Maybe that's not the right word, but be adjusted just based on the fact that, you know, you're looking at these last 2 games, Lakers, Blazers, and you're not going to have Tyrese Haliburton. And obviously without him, the bench is just a very different animal, and you're shorthanded to begin with before that decision was even made. Yeah,
well, I mean, look, we try not to, at least with the players, I think you get in trouble with the expectations. You got to focus on what we're doing and what we can accomplish today. Like, we got to live in the solution of how do we get better today. And when you start worrying about the expectations and this and that, then you're on this roller coaster ride. And for us and our guys, the expectations are come into work your tails off and get better, and hopefully win games while we're doing it. And again, it's like you look at that Charlotte game, you look at that Charlotte game right there, and it hurts. And we, in my opinion, we outplayed them for a lot of that game, and we did a lot of things to win that game, right? But we didn't win. But we still played better basketball than a year before this when we were down 20 in Minnesota with 3 minutes left, and we win that game. And everyone feels great, but we played like crap for 90% of that game, right? So what we're looking at is how are we playing, how consistently, what are we doing? And as a whole, I'm more happy in that Charlotte game, even though the result wasn't what we wanted. So again, we're trying to stay in the mindset of just where this team is going, how do we get there, and get better every day.
Sean Cunningham.
Thanks. Hey, so just kind of using that example there of, excuse me, the Timberwolves and the analogy used from the previous year about the way that game felt. Do you feel like, especially with this time off after the Charlotte game, that that was about as dejected as we'd seen the team all year after that? Did you feel like part of that was on you to kind of lift some spirits a little bit coming off of a game like that 24 or 48 hours later?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of my responsibilities. When I feel like I need to snap on the team and get into them, then that's what I have to do. When I feel like I need to pick up and get put in perspective of where we're at and what we're trying to do, then I have to take that angle. And to me, after a loss like that, when you did do a lot of things really well that game, I don't feel really snapping on them is what gets us to the next step. And it's not, again, it's us as a team. So it's me as the head coach, assistant coaches bringing the energy, guys like Harrison that have been in this league a while, bringing that energy the next time we all get together. And now, we got 2 really tough opponents coming up. If we're sitting here feeling bad about ourselves for blowing a game 2 days ago, we're not going to give ourselves much of a chance in these next 2. So we got to relock in and refocus on what we did well and where we can try to win another one before the break.
Yeah. And then to that point, I don't mean to sound like a smart aleck, but because of the way that game ended, and I don't think it could have gone much worse, it sounded like more of the accentuate the positive. Do you even not review much of what happened in that final minute 15 or so?
Oh, no, we do. We looked at pretty much all of it. Like, we're not going to hide. We're not going to hide from anything, right? We're not, there's some games that are just so gross, you brush them under the rug because it's just like, we're not going to get anything out of this. We didn't show up tonight. But there's a lot, there's some stuff to get out of that one. For example, we talked about after De'Aaron's flagrant, that next possession, we're still up 8, even after he missed the 2 free throws. We don't want to take a shot until 3-4 seconds on the shot clock. And we ended up, they doubled De'Aaron. He gave it to Rashawn. So everyone's trying to make the right plays. He gives it to Marvin, and then Marvin goes to try to score, but there's 14 on the clock. So the learning point is, even if you're open, Marvin, throw that thing out, or De'Aaron, come back and grab the ball. Like, we want you controlling these games, right? So, we talk about that time and score, what we're looking for. Another example was we showed when we were up 2 and De'Aaron did go early and scored, like, that's a good possession. Like, put it in your brains, like, that's what we want. 1 possession game under 30 seconds. We just want best shot. We're not trying to waste time in that situation. So we showed these examples in the film session and talked about them as a way that when we're in this situation next time, hopefully we do a better job as a group.
Jason Anderson.
Hi, Luke. How are you today, sir?
Good, Jason. You
good? Buddy, are we calling that a sprain?
Buddies?
Yeah.
A sprained ankle.
Yeah, just one terminology. So, Buddy sprained ankle, probably questionable tomorrow.
Questionable for tomorrow. He did not practice today. But you guys that have been around Buddy, he plays through pretty much everything. So we'll see how he feels tomorrow. I know sometimes even if you want to play through stuff, you can't. But he's been pretty solid when it comes to playing through injuries.
Yeah. Okay. And secondly, Ty, is that still being described as soreness?
Day to day, but he's out. So I'll have the training staff fill you in on what the actual wording is, but he will not play in these next 2 days. I can just tell you that he is feeling and getting much better. We're more playing it safe with him, with All-Star being around the corner.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned those one-on-one drills you're doing to really, kind of engage guys that way. Who excels in those drills and why?
Well, it's different on different days, Jason. But it's more about bringing awareness and a mindset to, like, taking pride in being able to get one-on-one stops. So there's been different days. Sometimes you play great defense and people hit tough shots. That's fine. So it's not so much about who wins the day as becoming a defensive stopper, but more about like embracing that ownership of everyone watching and having to guard, 1, 2, 3 guys at a time until you can get a stop.
Matt George.
Hey, Luke, good to talk to you.
Hey, Matt.
I know you campaigned for De'Aaron Fox to make the All-Star team, and I know it would have been good to see Buddy Hield defend his three-point title, but unless I missed something, no Kings representation during this All-Star weekend game or whatever it is. Is there a part of you that is, I guess, pleased or almost happy with the fact that the team won't be going or players won't be going? They can take this time to rest, recover for the second half of the season?
Yeah, from a coaching standpoint, for sure. You want your players resting and getting healthy. But it's, to me, it's one of those things where it's like if De'Aaron had made it, or if we did have a representative going, like you also feel pretty excited about that. So from a just straight competitive standpoint, it's probably better that our guys are going to be home and resting. But from a big picture, it would be pretty awesome to get an all-star on our team. So. Yeah, we don't have them going, but we'll take advantage of those extra days off.
And then really quick, at the beginning of the season, you talked a lot about when talking about Rashawn Holmes and Marvin Bagley playing together, you talked about the lineup spacing the floor a lot to have room for De'Aaron Fox and others to work around the paint. Have you been pleased with that throughout the course of the season? Can you speak a little about both the positives and negatives, what you've seen from Rashawn Holmes and Marvin Bagley specifically spending so much time together on the floor?
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much what it was a lot early on when we were fully healthy. We were just kind of playing Marvin at the 4 and with Rashawn because they're both pretty active. And, since we kind of got hit with some of the injury bug and whatnot, now Marvin's starting at the 4, but he's playing a lot of his minutes at the backup 5. So we're getting to those offensive lineups where, to me, we look better, where the spacing's there. There's one big. He's a dynamic roller. But as far as your question about having both of them on the court together, I think they've done a nice job of slowly kind of developing the ability to play with each other. Part of that is that Marvin is getting, he's shooting the ball pretty well from behind the 3. And now he's starting to understand a little better of like when to cut out of those corners, for either late passes or for offensive rebounds. So the spacing might not be the same as when we have a smaller lineup out there, but they're doing some other things really nicely as far as working together. And I still think there's a ton of, I know there's a ton of room for them to grow from a defensive standpoint, which I think would give us our best defensive lineups, having both of those guys out there that are versatile, but developing that big to big relationship of always being able to cover for each other and then cover for everyone else. So we got a lot of room to grow with that, but I'm happy with the progress the two of them have made playing on the court together so far.
All right, 2 more questions for Coach Christos Saltis.
Hello, Coach. How are you?
Good. You?
I'm fine, thank you. I would like to ask you, what did you learn from your team that you didn't know so far about the last 2 minutes of the game against Charlotte?
What did I learn about our team in the last 2 minutes?
Yes.
We were. I won't say the last 2 minutes. The last minute and whatever, 13 seconds, whatever it was, we were as bad as. That game only goes that way if Charlotte makes absolutely everything, and we miss absolutely everything. So I don't think I've really learned anything about our team. I'd say that's not really who our team is. I think our team is more of the group that built that lead. Throughout that game to put us in a position to win, and that was just a really bad example of us for a minute, that last minute of the game.
And also, what do you expect to see in the next couple of games, and how important is for you about your mentality as a team is to finish strong the first half of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got games to play still, and that's why I said we can't sit around and feel bad about the Charlotte game. It hurts, it stinks, but we move forward. We got 2 really good teams on a back-to-back coming up, and we're going to be playing guys heavy minutes, and we have to give everything we have to give ourselves chances to win these. So that's where our mindset will be, and that's where it needs to be starting tomorrow night.
All right, last question for Coach Paolo Uggetti.
Hey, Luca, I'm just curious. Something you're hearing around the league, especially this season, is how hard it is to find time to practice with everything, the protocols and all that. I'm curious as to how you guys have dealt with that. And when you do practice, because of the way the season has been, what are some of the things you try to focus on, or how do you try to maximize that time that you do have?
Yeah, it's been challenging between the testing and everything else. It's, unless we have 2 days without a game, we don't even attempt. It's more about rest, recovery, and film. If we do have one of those rare times where we get 2 days without a game, then we'll plan on making one of those a rest recovery day and one of those like let's get after it contact, really try to clean some things up. But even with those, I'll pick 2 or 3 things that I really think we need to clean up, and we'll try to get them in and out within an hour and a half of some hard competitive drills, and then we just leave it at that. So it's just kind of prioritizing where our most slippage is happening and focusing drills around that.